Does anyone remember that one Super Smash Bros. Clone that died in a year? No, not that one. No, not that one either. Definitely not that one. Multiversus was a platform fighter owned by WB and developed by Player First Games, who I think might be runner-up in most ironic name behind Aggro Crab, because this game was not for the players. Head director Tony Hune basically saw Smash and went, how can I make a buttload of money out of this? And so, Multiversus was born, a free-to-play platform fighter featuring all your favorite characters like Shaggy, Batman, Bugs Bunny, Finn the Human, Tom and Jerry, and of course, LeBron James. That's right. LeBron James was here before the Joker. The Joker. Mark Hamill's the Joker. I mean, that's absolutely insane. It just goes to show that Multiversus's priorities were in the wrong place. Almost every one of the game's issues came from the top. And I'm not just singling out Tony on this one. WB is mostly to blame for killing their own project, which is only like the seventh time they've done this. Overall, Multiversus didn't fail because the game couldn't merit its own existence, but rather it was the executive decisions that inevitably killed it. To organize our topics a bit better, let's talk about this game as the distinct categories it was trying to be. It's trying to be a fighting game, a WB game, and a product. As mentioned before, Multiversus is a platform fighter, which is traditionally a 2D multiplayer game where players try to knock each other off the screen using various character-specific moves. Now, just by describing this, you're probably thinking about Smash Bros. And you'd be correct in that assumption. Smash 64 pretty much pioneered the whole platform fighter genre, and the series has been nigh unstoppable since. While other games, like Brawlhalla and Rivals of Aether, are popular, they have nowhere near the staying power of Smash's 89 character roster with loads of recognizable faces. In 2022, WB, with their various franchises, decided they would give making a platform fighter a try. And as a platform fighter, Multiversus really excels. The issue with many of these Smash-inspired games is that they try too hard to be Smash Bros. With similar weights and mechanics for every character, trying to emulate a system that already works instead of innovating. Multiversus doesn't really do that. This game is very floaty, and not just for the characters you expect, like Superman, Powerpuff Girls, and Bugs, but even for characters like the Iron Giant. With 2 midair dashes, 2 specials, and 2 jumps, every character can make it back to the stage easily, regardless of size. This is in direct contrast with Smash, where the heavy fighters like Bowser and Ganondorf have a tougher time making it back to the stage. Now, a lot of people don't like this, but I'd argue it vouches for more consistency across the entire roster, especially when it comes to the combos you can perform. Smash is far closer to the fighter aspect of platform fighters, where Multiversus is more platform of the two. At Smash Bros., combos are very intentional and are often variable, making one-on-one battles feel more like a traditional fighter, like Street Fighter. And it has heavy neutral, while the movement in Multiversus necessitates controlling the air over the stage. It's an interesting switch that leads to watching pro Multiversus and Smash esports completely differently. Multiversus as a fighting game also includes much more obvious fighting game archetypes, such as the Assassin for Rushdown, the Mage for Zoner, the Bruiser for Shoto, and the tank, which is wholly unique to this game. It's a more support style role. Overall, as a fighting game, Multiversus is excellent and was genuinely a lot of fun before the game inevitably died. The actual dev team at Player First Games were great at making exactly what WB wanted. It's just that WB didn't understand what the players wanted. Warner Brothers, as a company, has always misunderstood what their audience wants in pursuit of a profit that never comes. In the world of these corporate franchisers, WB is a major squatter. They often sit on their franchises or systems for decades, but when they return with a new project, they always end up making mistakes. Most notably, Their decisions when it comes to gaming are extremely shaky. When it comes to games under WB, many people's first thoughts are about the Batman Arkham series, and undeniably, those games are excellent. The development team, Rocksteady, created some of the best games of the 2010s with amazing mechanics that strengthen not only the Batman IP, but also DC and Warner Brothers as a whole. In the same decade, another one of WB's subsidiaries, a Monolith Productions, created Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War, both games utilizing Monolith's Nemesis system, which is a procedurally generated system that creates unique enemies every playthrough. This skyrockets replay value and gives your game an insane number of unique outcomes. This system is highly praised as one of the best of all time, but since Shadow of War in 2017, WB has done nothing with it, and it looks like it will never use it again. Since the 2010s, WB has not managed to create anything that's generated excitement. They started to lose money in their gaming sector, not because they couldn't hire good creative teams, but instead, they didn't see the value in making quality single-player games anymore. The 2020s marked WB's transition to live service games, like Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Both games failed because WB just doesn't have the right requirements for live service. Multiversus was one of these games. Multiversus was born out of WB's obsession with the live service model, but they never understood gaming at the fundamental level. They saw only that when they dipped their toes in with Batman and Middle-earth, they made money. So when it came to the next wave of development, they got greedy and wanted more. Now that we have the necessary background on WB and their practices in the gaming industry, it's time to compare Multiversus and Smash Bros. As products. Primarily, the systems I want to discuss involve the bread and butter of these games, the character rosters. In Smash Bros., you start with 12 original fighters from Smash 64, and just by playing for a couple hours, you can unlock the rest of the cast. It's simple, but effective, rewarding the player with more characters the more time they play, a new character every few matches. Multiversus was infamously criticized for its overuse of different forms of currency. I think the most terrible was the fighter currency. Fighter currency is exactly as it sounds like. It's a form of currency that's used to unlock fighters. Now, on paper, this is similar to Smash Bros.' unlocking system, where time equals more fighters. However, in practice, the currency is just a middleman and necessitates grinding over just playing the game. When this game was popular, I myself played hundreds of hours, and I still couldn't unlock every base roster character. This system was not like this to promote playing the game like Nintendo's, but instead to make the purchase of fighter currency and character bundles feel more necessary. Every aspect of Multiversus outside of its actual gameplay boiled down to live service moneymaker. Even the character choices were clearly centered around money. Again, LeBron James was here before the Joker. He released in 2022 with the game's open beta. And guess what else released in 2022? Space Jam 2. Similarly, Black Adam from DC was in the initial roster, and who also got a movie in 2022. Black Adam. Now, Smash's roster is iconic at this point, but it's not fair to say that they don't have weird characters like Rob and Duck Hunt. But the intentions behind these characters are very different. Rob and Duck Hunt exist as an homage to a forgotten era, remaining consistent to Smash's overall theme of celebration of gaming, while LeBron and Black Adam exist solely to promote other WB projects. A common misconception about Multiversus was that it wanted to be the Smash Bros. Killer, or at least compete with the giant. However, looking at Warner Bros.' decisions and emphasis towards quick cash over long-term support make it clear that that was never the case. The development team at Player First Games truly produced a game that I and many others think had the potential to rival Smash's dominance in the platform fighter genre, but the aims of the higher-ups blurred that image for everyone. A good game was locked behind paywalls, despite being free to play. Multiversus was destined to fail by the intentional corporate design WB pushed onto the team. Then, after the failure, WB will accrue millions in debt and blame developers. Recently, WB's many years of financial oversights hit their peak when Paramount purchased the company in February of 2026. And now, under Paramount, it's difficult to predict what WB Games' next ventures will be. From what we do know, co-chairman of DC Studios, James Gunn, has expressed interest in pursuing DC-themed games once again, in the same vein as the Arkham titles. The various changes undergoing inside of WB, it's unlikely we'll ever get a game like Multiversus again, which, in a sense, is great, as it prevents another money-hungry failure. But it also kills things that made Multiversus as a game special, the things that made it stand out as a platform fighter, the things that made this game fun.